Tonight, a late spring storm that's delivering a soaking. The warnings and the watches.
Some people get a decent amount and others get much less.
On a waterlogged day. Ontario's Privacy Commissioner on the UW campus vending machine fiasco.
This was an interesting investigation.
And the new powers her department will soon have
to conduct investigations with quite extensive investigative powers and the power to issue binding orders.
For investigations like this. More frustration.
There are so many parents suffering and stressed out, and that childcare that is promoted as accessible should be accessible.
Over extended care registration.
So we are juggling a lot of different factors before we can expand the program.
An update on a system in high demand. Good evening. We begin with what can be described as a spring soaking across southwestern Ontario today. The rain has been falling and some areas could see more. Waterloo Region and many other places were under a rainfall warning for much of the day thanks to slow-moving thunderstorms. Let's start our coverage tonight with CTV's Krista Simpson now with a bit of a look at the impact so far, which, Krista, I guess really depends on where you are.
Well, Tony, because these storms were slow-moving, it means some areas were hit much harder than others. According to Environment and Climate Change Canada, so far the Galt area of Cambridge seems to have been hit the hardest in Waterloo Region, an estimated 25 to 40 millimeters of rain there, whereas at the region of Waterloo Airport in Breslau, they've measured 7.3 millimeters of rain so far. A rainfall warning in place for much of the day ended a short time ago, though it does remain for areas to the south. The Grand River Conservation Authority is monitoring the conditions. They say that they aren't expecting any serious flooding on the river at this time. The city of Kitchener has closed its baseball diamonds due to the rain, and a number of sports fields are closed in Waterloo and Cambridge as well with the conditions. Now, today's rain comes after a bit of a dry spell and really is the kind of storm we expect to see as we get into summer weather.
This would be a typical midsummer storm. A direct hit will typically give somebody a quick 25, 30 millimeters. The air that's over us is quite moist for once and unstable. So this is quite typical that some people get a decent amount and others get much less. And parts of Waterloo Region probably got nothing, a few or a trace, but most people got measured. So it's typical what you'd see in the midsummer because we are in the midsummer pattern now.
For those on the roads, Environment Canada is reminding drivers that heavy downpours can cause flash floods and water pooling on roads, as well as reduced visibility. They're reminding drivers to slow down, watch for tail lights ahead, and be prepared to stop. Waterloo Regional Police say at this time they haven't seen any major issues on the roads due to the weather. Tony. Okay, CTV's Krista Simpson with the latest impact on this rainy day. Krista, thank you. And Alex is in studio with us now for a closer look at the data, the numbers, and a lot of green on that board behind you, which kind of tells the story we've all been seeing play out today.
We have just pretty much seen green all afternoon, Tony. And I do want to take back a couple hours because around 1:30, 2 o'clock is really, at least over our studio here in Kitchener, that's when we really saw the heavy downpours, that thunder, those dark clouds starting to move in. So the thunderstorm, at least, and to Krista's point too, depending where you are, depends. You could have seen a lot or maybe not a lot. So like the good point right now, we are starting to see that system make its way out of Kitchener-Waterloo. So just seeing maybe a little bit of light showers depending where you are or more of the cloud cover. The bad news though, we could be in for another system making its way. And we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. So currently we are sitting at 21 degrees, 20 in London and 22 in Toronto. With the humidex though, feeling closer to 28. Earlier in the day though, because it was more humid before that storm system made its way through KW, it felt closer to the 30s. So Tony has noted, yeah, potential for another thunderstorm to roll in across the region. I'll break it down a little bit later for you.
A wet week. Okay, Alex, thanks very much. We'll chat with you shortly. A string of car break-ins in Waterloo has police looking to track someone down. They're sharing some photos after multiple people in the Northdale neighborhood reported vehicles broken into and items stolen. A CTV's Karis map tells us even cars parked in a secure area could be targets.
This is the individual Waterloo Regional Police are looking to speak with in connection to a string of overnight car break-ins. Between May 18th and June 8th, 9 drivers reporting their vehicles were broken into and items were taken. Since launching the investigation, police say it's possible there may be more victims.
Most of these break-and-enters have occurred during the overnight hours and into the early morning hours in these areas.
Cash, license plates, IDs, and bank cards, all items stolen. During the early hours of May 25th, police say a parking garage on Regina Street North was targeted. Several debit and credit cards were taken.
Credit cards and/or bank cards are typically used. The tap function's used when they're stolen. They'll go to different stores and do quick purchases.
Some vehicles were parked on the street or in driveways, others in parking garages requiring a pass. Still unknown how the suspect got in, police warn everyone to keep their doors locked when not in their vehicle.
Remove any valuables that are in your car, ensure that they're not in plain view. Valuables, that includes wallets, passports, money, any sort of items that have any sort of value.
Anyone noticing suspicious activity in their neighborhood should contact police immediately. If possible, try to get a description of the person and note which way they were traveling. The investigation is ongoing, and anyone with information is being asked to reach out to police or Crime Stoppers. Kara Smapp, CTV News, Kitchener.
We are hearing from Ontario's Privacy Commissioner tonight about her investigation into vending machines at the University of Waterloo that were secretly using face detection technology. And beginning next month, her department's going to have more enforcement power in these kinds of situations, and that could have broader implications. Let's go to CTV's Hannah Schmidt now, who joins us in studio with more from that interview with the Commissioner. Hannah.
Tony, in just under 2 weeks, Ontario's privacy watchdog will have the power to issue binding orders and order institutions to stop or modify practices. The Commissioner says the new changes will mark a major shift in how privacy matters are dealt with in the province. It looked like a typical vending machine, but hidden inside was technology tracking more than just your snack choice.
They were not lawfully authorized to go beyond that and collect all of this additional information, which was not necessary for the purpose of buying a can of Coke or a bag of chips.
The discovery made by students exposed complex information gathering. An investigation by Ontario's Privacy Commissioner found the machines on the University of Waterloo's campus were collecting facial data, inferring gender, age, and even tracking emotions and attention span.
This collection of additional information was concerning, and we found was contrary to the Provincial Public Sector Privacy Act.
According to the IPC report, it was determined the university was not aware the machines had facial detection technology that was collecting information. The machines were quickly pulled. Had it happened now, the outcome could be very different.
Just 2 weeks away, there are provisions that will come into force that will allow my office to conduct investigations with quite extensive investigative powers and the power to issue binding orders.
The new changes, part of Ontario's updated Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, mark a major shift. Privacy impact assessments and breach notifications will be mandatory, and the ability to issue binding orders will come into force on July 1st.
Had the institution got sort of onto the fact that these machines were smart and that there was something behind them, they would have conducted a privacy impact assessment, which they did not do. But had they done that, then they would have seen that there were quite significant risks.
So what about companies that make these machines? Right now, that's federal jurisdiction. But the Commissioner says change is coming there too.
We can collaborate in a joint investigation and come up with consistent findings and work together rather than having to undergo multiple disparate investigations.
The Commissioner giving credit to the students who brought their concerns forward to her office, saying it's due diligence like theirs that can help hold parties accountable and make a change.
The students should be very proud that they brought this issue to our attention, and thanks to them, the machines were removed right away, and this practice has been stopped.
The Commissioner says information on these new changes will be made available on their website in the next week or so. Tony.
CTV's Hannah Schmidt reporting live. Hannah, thank you. A new CAA study is outlining the number of near-miss incidents at intersections across Canada. The study's authors say the report highlights the need to better protect cyclists and pedestrians. CTV's Rahim Ladani reports.
Crossing the street in Toronto isn't always simple.
So I always wait extra time. I also have a toddler, so that terrifies me all the time.
I don't even bike on the street because I'm scared that somebody's going to hit me.
It turns out these safety concerns carry across Canada. CAA watched 20 intersections around the country over 7 months using cameras and artificial intelligence. The results? 1 in every 770 pedestrians and 1 in every 500 cyclists were involved in a high or critical risk near miss with a vehicle.
That's almost a cyclist every single day that's coming into an intersection and having a conflict with a vehicle. So I don't know, I would say that's a pretty scary number.
The majority of close calls involved right-turning vehicles, followed by left-turning vehicles and through vehicles.
There's careless drivers and careless bike riders, so it's equal. I have to keep my eyes open all the time.
The study found if those near misses were actually crashes, there would be an 85% chance of serious injury.
The reality is that people do make mistakes, and a safe systems framework, which is a road safety framework used all over the world, there are mistakes that happen, but there are things that we can look at, either engineering or infrastructure.
CAA is urging municipalities to make intersections safer by creating more dedicated left turn lanes, pedestrian first signal crossings, and advanced green lights for left turning vehicles.
And AI is able to tell us in that area there seems to be an issue, then hopefully we can implement a design that will prevent a collision.
Creating a safer commute for all modes of transportation. Rahim Ladani, CTV News.
Premier Doug Ford will welcome 40 First Nations chiefs to Queen's Park tomorrow, part of the government's ongoing outreach on its controversial Bill 5. Now, some chiefs have expressed outrage and hurt over the bill that creates special economic zones where some laws can be ignored. The government wants that label for the mineral-rich Ring of Fire area, a region that it sees as key to Ontario's economic prosperity. But Indigenous leaders feel their rights have been trampled on, and that they should have been consulted on the bill ahead of time. Doug Ford intends to use tomorrow's meeting to show leaders what's possible.
This is like handing an opportunity on a silver platter to First Nations that by the way, I have treated like gold. But there's going to be a point that you can't just keep coming hat in hand all the time to the government. You got to be able to take care of yourselves. And when you literally have gold mines, nickel mines, every type of critical mineral that the world wants, and you're saying, no, I don't want to touch that. By the way, give me money. Not going to happen.
Asked about pushback to developing the Ring of Fire, the Premier singled out Deputy NDP leader Saul Mamakwa as someone Ford says, quote, just likes to stir the pot. Well, on the same day that the Prime Ministers of Canada and India shook hands at the G7 summit comes word of a CSIS report that accuses India of being at the forefront of foreign interference. CTV's Abigail Beeman reports.
Great honor to host you at the G7.
The same day as the meeting with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Canada's spy agency listed India as one of the main perpetrators of foreign interference and espionage against Canada in its newly released annual report. CSIS called links between the government of India and the 2023 murder of Sikh separatist activist Hardeep Singh Nijjar a significant escalation in India's repression efforts against the Khalistan movement and a clear intent to target individuals in North America. It calls on Canada to remain vigilant about continued foreign interference by India in ethnic, religious, and cultural communities, as well as Canada's political system.
As a government, we condemn any interference by foreign actors in Canada. The RCMP, as you're aware, is completing its ongoing investigation, and they will have more to say.
I think it was premature.
This former CSIS intelligence officer says the move yesterday to restore top diplomats in both countries is important, but the timing at the G7 sent mixed signals.
On the one hand, we're taking transnational repression seriously. At the second hand, we're inviting people over, putting them on the red carpet, and making it look as though all's fine and wonderful.
The expectation that
India understand the damage they have done here in Canada is really important to moving this relationship forward.
The CSIS report also noted the Canadian, American, and British spy agencies agree that never in our combined histories have we faced national security threats overall of such magnitude simultaneously. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
A reminder to sign up for the CTV Kitchener newsletter. Local content from our news team will send it right to your inbox every morning. A look at the day's top stories, the latest weather forecast, and we've got some must-see videos on there as well. You can sign up over on our website, ctvnewskitchener.ca. A Kitchener woman is calling out the province's limits on helping pay for prosthetics. Coming up, CTV's Spencer Turcott with a reality check on some of the roadblocks of rehabilitation.
Before and after school childcare programs in Waterloo Region. Find out what's different this year and why one parent says she isn't impressed with the process. That story is just that.
Waterloo Region and surrounding areas not under that rainfall warning anymore. We'll take a closer look at who is under a severe thunderstorm watch coming up.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We go to a dramatic scene unfolding.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. ctvkitchener.ca, your home for news.
Registration for before and after school childcare starts this week in Waterloo Region with a different approach, hoping to avoid last year's system chaos that left many families struggling to find care at the last minute. But is it going smoothly? CTV's Heather Senerin looking into that for us and joins us live with more. First, Heather, you spoke with the Catholic Board today. Give us a sense of their approach this year.
So the Catholic School Board is doing a staggered approach, Tony. Instead of everyone registering all at once, every day this week, parents from a group of schools organized alphabetically are able to register on a specific day. The board says this has worked for them so far, and they've only heard positive feedback from the company behind the system. But one Kitchener parent says she's not impressed with the process.
Ashley Todorowski registered her 8-year-old son in before and after school care with the Waterloo Catholic District School Board on Tuesday, but she says she hit a roadblock.
Once I tried to get to the registration page, the page wouldn't load for me. I tried about 3 times and then I had to leave for work.
At the end of the day, she found out she only got in for after school care for the extended day program.
However, the before school had already been at full capacity.
A tough pill to swallow for the single parent working full-time in Kitchener.
I can't really work around the fact that the school starts at 9:15, but my work starts at 8. And it's really unfortunate because I don't have anybody else in the household that can assist me in any way.
She says the system needs to change.
There are so many parents suffering and stressed out, and that childcare that is promoted as accessible should be accessible.
The Catholic Board says they made big strides since last year when parents from both the public and Catholic Board registered at once with one list, causing chaos when about 7,000 families fought for a spot.
It ended up overwhelming the system, and it did cause some system crashes. So in order to avoid having a similar situation happen this year, we wanted to stagger it alphabetically.
Registration started Monday for the Catholic Board with over 500 students already enrolled and 10 programs already at max capacity. But the board says staff are doing their best to accommodate as many families as possible.
So while sometimes there is a demand for the program and the space, there might not be the staffing. So we are juggling a lot of different factors before we can expand the program.
As for Todorowski, her son has been in the extended day program for 4 years, but since last year, they made all parents re-enroll every year.
And so by allowing it to reset every year, we give everyone a chance to access extended day programming.
For families who didn't get what they wanted, there's always the wait list.
As of right now, there's 121 people on the wait list.
Registration for the last batch of schools opens Friday, with registration closing when all programs are filled.
Now, there are some parents who are registering for any school they could, essentially trying to cheat their way to a spot, but the school board is encouraging parents to not do that and wait for their school's specific day. The board also notes that after registration closes this year, they will be reevaluating and assessing to see if there is opportunity to expand the program in the future. Tony.
Okay, CTV's Heather Centerin reporting live. Heather, thank you for that. A Kitchener woman who had her leg amputated has hit a roadblock when it comes to paying for a prosthetic leg. She says the provincial funding program for such devices has fallen far behind the cost of prosthetics. And as CTV Spencer Turcott tells us, she may have to pay tens of thousands of dollars for one.
She drives herself, gets in and out of her van, and continues to live an active lifestyle, typical of Lynn Helwig, even after losing her leg this year.
And I ended up with a big blood clot in my shin that got infected. So they had to remove it.
The Kitchener woman has adapted to her new life fairly well, although she doesn't want to be confined to a wheelchair and has been on the hunt for a prosthetic leg. She's been met with some challenges.
When I was first met with them, and even in the hospital, I was told that ADP covered 75% of all this kind of stuff.
Ontario's Assistive Devices program helps people with long-term physical disabilities pay for customized equipment. ADP will cover 75% of an improved price for certain components, meaning the program covers certain parts of a prosthetic, not the entire thing. Considering the pricing review hasn't been updated since 2008, that leaves Lynn with some pretty pricey options.
They said that because I have an active lifestyle, that the microprocessor leg would be much more suitable for me so that I'm able to move around and go to work and function better.
Here's what the cost breakdown of that would look like. The total unit price is
$74,000.
ADP will cover
$6,432.
Meaning Lynn is on the hook for
$67,000.
The Ministry of Health tells CTV News that leg prosthetics follow the ADP's regular business review process, which takes into account the average annual client cost and are adjusted following a diligent review period. No additional reviews are planned for this time. Even for the quotes Lynn received for more basic mechanical legs, which she says is no more than your
traditional peg leg.
The other two options are estimated to cost upwards of $10,000, even after the coverage of $6,432.
I'm not sure I want to say that on air, but let's just say I was not impressed.
Frustrating, but Lynn is approaching the situation with a sense of humor, saying she's determined to get back up on her feet.
Well, one foot and a fake one, yeah. Yeah.
All while advocating for better funding for people in her position.
I'm figuring even if they do realize the error of their ways and change it, it's not going to be in time for me.
Spencer Turcott, CTV News, Kitchener.
More than 20 children have been treated for e-scooter related injuries so far this year at the Hospital for Sick Children in Toronto. And that's prompted a warning urging parents to keep them away from teens and preteens. CTV's Pauline Chan reports.
E-scooters may look fun to ride, but doctors at Sick Kids Emergency Department say in the wrong hands, they can be dangerous.
These devices shouldn't be in the hands of teens and preteens.
But that's who Sick Kids is seeing with injuries. In 2020, they saw just one e-scooter related injury, but in 2024, they had 46 ER cases related to e-scooters, and so far this year, they've had 22.
They are becoming cheaper as all these components become more manufactured at scale, and the battery technology decreases, all of this becomes more available. You can just look at any big box retailer.
Sick Kids also found 78% of the kids were not using a helmet at the time of the accident, and 25% of them had to be admitted with serious injuries. 36% had head or facial injuries, 33% had fractured bones, and 18% had concussions.
We've seen some catastrophic head injuries, but we've seen everything else. We've seen, deep and severe lacerations and cuts. We've seen intra-abdominal bleeding. We've seen major fractures that may require surgery.
The hospital has shared its safety tips on social media. First, always wear a helmet. And second, no passengers.
The vast majority of them were not designed with passengers in mind. So they're already an inherently unstable device. You throw on a passenger on them, their weight center of gravity is completely different.
Also, follow manufacturers' warnings, know your local regulations, and never ride under the influence of marijuana or alcohol.
Adolescents in general are at higher risk to be experimenting with these substances, period. And we know that you need your best dexterity when you're using a scooter.
E-scooter used by anyone under 16 is banned on public property in Ontario, and in Toronto it's banned for people of any age, but the hospital worries its popularity continues to grow. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Well, here's a live shot from Paris tonight. Of course, a big downtown reconstruction project underway there, and you can see it is well underway this week. And the weather story today is the rain that's been well underway all day today. Some areas getting quite a soaking, and some places not as much. It was a real hit-and-miss situation. Alex Pinto back in just a couple of moments to let us know that we are maybe not through with this rain yet this week. Also coming up, could a local church be providing a different kind of service? A looming decision about repurposing a place of worship that has set off a conversation in Waterloo. Next, though, the Prime Minister's last-minute push before the summer break relating to the trade war, the bill he's trying to fast-track, and why critics are saying slow down. Alex Pinto back with us for a look at the forecast. First of all, I'm so glad you're feeling better.
I am. Let's see if the voice lasts for a little bit longer than it did the other night. So appreciate everyone's patience, because
you were a trooper on Monday. I have to say that.
You can't make this up, and it's like the best luck just follows me. You know,
timing in life is never ideal, is it?
Back to work and you're sick. We're feeling better now, though, so that's that's the important part.
Feeling better. That's good. And just in time for a real soaking today too, because as if the weather wasn't enough, you know, stirring up people's allergies and whatnot in the spring on a regular basis. You get that pouring of rain today. That downpour really stirs things up as well.
Oh yeah, Mother Nature really, you know, giving us a bit of a test today, that's for sure. But the good news is, right now, though, we're not seeing that heavy downpour like we saw earlier in the day. Let's take a live look outside. This is from a beautiful, beautiful Paris. Just a bit of cloud cover. Again, that rainfall there has ended, but the roads still quite wet. So if you are out, just keep an eye on for pooling. I know Krista mentioned that in her report a little bit earlier, but something to keep in mind too from all the rain that we did see. And before getting into our forecast too, I do want to take a moment to highlight what we saw here outside of our studio in Kitchener earlier this afternoon. You can hear that thunder roaring, the trees blowing in the wind, and that heavy rain. So this was taken just outside of our studio here in Kitchener around 1:30, before 2 o'clock. This is when we really noticed that soaking. So the good news, the worst of it has passed, but we might not be in the clear just yet. So that rainfall warning now for Kitchener-Waterloo has been lifted. We were in it for most of the afternoon. Shortly before we went on the air for 6 o'clock, Environment Canada did lift that. So good news for us here too. And so when we're looking at that rainfall warning, just moments ago towards Niagara Region, they were under that rainfall warning, and Environment Canada also lifting that as well. So it's ended in terms of rainfall warning for us. Parry Sound and further north, though, still under that warning at this point. That said, severe thunderstorm watch areas to the extreme southwest, so Windsor, Chatham, Kent, Port Stanley, London, as well as Sarnia, they are under that severe thunderstorm watch still this hour. So wind gusts could be up to 100 kilometers an hour, and a brief tornado could be possible as well. So something to keep an eye and monitor there we will do. So when we look at our future cast, again, right now we're just seeing more of that cloud cover, the dark clouds across Kitchener-Waterloo after seeing the heavy rain. Well, again, we might not be in the clear as we look ahead to tomorrow. Overnight especially, we could be in for potentially a second round when it comes to those thunderstorms. So a bit of mixing on and off in terms of that rainfall, heavy at times as we get into tomorrow as well. That is what's expected before conditions are expected to push out and clear, and we could be in for a little bit of sunshine, but we might just have to wait a little bit longer. We'll get into that in just a moment. Currently sitting at 22 degrees here in Kitchener-Waterloo, 22 in London, 23 in the city of Toronto with the Humidex. Yeah, feeling closer to 30. It actually went up a little bit. In the last hour, we were sitting about in the high 20s, it felt like. But earlier in the day, before that storm did roll in, it actually felt like more like we were in the mid 30s or so. Feeling closer right now in London, like it's 29 or so. Expected high 28 degrees, 19 expected low. The normal for this time of year is 24 degrees or so. Our record from 1994, we hit a high of 35 degrees. The low, just shy of 4. That was in 1972. Sunset, you're definitely not going to see a sunset out there with all the cloud cover and the active weather that we saw, but now setting at 9:05. Overnight conditions, 19 degrees, 60% chance of showers. As noted, we could see a risk or another thunderstorm. And then tomorrow, 22 with a 30% chance of showers. Expect to potentially see, it just changed rather, so 60% chance of showers as we get into tomorrow. But look at that, Saturday and Sunday, we could see some beautiful sunshine here in Kitchener, Waterloo. For Lambton, Kent, and Essex, similar conditions, a bit of active weather expected for tomorrow. And again, looks like a pretty nice weekend, and similar conditions as well for southern Georgian Bay. So you might not get maybe as much sun as we're expected to get, but you know, I'd like to say it's still early in the season. So we'll see how the rest of the week plays out. And here is today's weather watcher picture. We're going to walk you back just a few nights, Tony. So this beautiful photo sent to us from Karen Allen, a stunning shot of the sunset. This was over the weekend, Sunday night in Listowel. So thank you, Karen. You are tonight's weather watcher picture. And I know I noted with the sun setting around 9:05 now, we're not going to see a sunset like this tonight, but maybe this upcoming weekend if the conditions are staying how Mother Nature's saying they are right now.
Yeah, it'll be the longest day of the year with the summer solstice,
yes,
which I always love to see in Waterloo Region. We have some of the best sunsets around here. As if we didn't have enough to cover in the weather already today, I couldn't help but notice in the long-range forecast, still looking like a heat wave next week.
Yes, still that heat wave, still that talk about too. So yeah, definitely one we're going to continue to follow, and days where you want to stay hydrated for sure.
Welcome back. You're going to be busy.
Oh my goodness, we're going to be busy.
We love it.
Thanks,
you. Alex. Just 2 weeks until the House of Commons breaks for summer, the Prime Minister has set his bill aimed at breaking down interprovincial trade barriers and speeding up project approvals on a fast track to becoming law. But as CTV's Rachel Aiello tells us, some are concerned the PM is prioritizing expediency over parliamentary scrutiny.
The Liberal government is facing pressure from Indigenous groups and MPs, including from within their own party, to slow down trying to pass the Major Projects Bill by Canada Day to allow more time for consultation. Prime Minister Mark Carney's One Canadian Economy Bill, C5, is on track to clear the House of Commons by Friday. With the backing of Conservatives, earlier this week, the Liberals moved to speed up the study of the legislation. Left with a narrow window to scrutinize it, NDP, Green, and Bloc MPs have raised alarm. Even some Liberals are expressing reservations about striking the right balance.
It's an impactful bill, but it's a short bill, and so my hope is that the committee is able to make substantive amendments.
Given the urgency, maybe this is the best we're going to get under the circumstances.
Prompting pushback is a proposal within the legislation to give Cabinet the power to approve natural resource projects, seen by some as undermining obligations to consult Indigenous people. Yesterday, Ontario chiefs came to the Hill to amplify calls for Carney to take more time to consider the consequences.
Canadians ought to be alarmed.
But today, the government stood by the bill, its intentions, and the decision to fast-track it.
This bill enjoys incredibly broad support, and we're pleased to be making progress on it.
Tonight, a committee of MPs will be burning the midnight oil to consider amendments to Bill C5. It will have to pass the House by Friday, and then it'll be off to the Senate, where a pre-study is already underway. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Is the dream of retirement ever going to be reality? Stay with us. We'll share a revealing new snapshot of Canadians' opinions on when they might be able to retire, if ever.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
A new survey finds the majority of Canadians who haven't yet retired don't believe they will ever be able to. The Canadian Retirement Survey by Abacus Data and Healthcare of Ontario Pension Plan found 59% believe they'll never be in a financial position to retire. 66% believe they'll need to continue working even if they do retire. 49% had not set any money aside for retirement in the past year, while 39% say they have never saved for retirement. Okay, time to update our top stories now. CTV's Colton Weens joining us in studio with the latest. We're going to start with a string of thefts in Waterloo, Colton.
Yeah, that's right, Tony. Waterloo Regional Police are investigating 9 reports in the city. Residents saying items were stolen from their vehicles overnight, and their police are trying to locate a suspect and are asking the public for any helpful information. Plus, Ontario's privacy watchdog is applauding University of Waterloo students for highlighting vending machines on the property that violated the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. The commissioner made 2 recommendations but says she will have stronger powers come July, and this ruling sets a precedent for public institutions.
And Colton, checking what our digital team is working on, a story about a mishap at the border.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting story. A man was arrested with 78 pounds of marijuana in a rental truck. He took a wrong turn, saying he claimed to unknowingly cross into Canada after following directions on his phone. For more information on this story, you can scan the QR code on the bottom left of your screen to get the story on our CTV News app or to download the app right now. You can also visit our website, ctvnewskitchener.ca. Tony.
Never know what you'll find over on the website. All kinds of interesting stories. Colton, thanks so much. Local artists are calling on the city of Waterloo to let them use a vacant church as a creative hub while the city waits to turn the property into affordable housing. Well, a decision is on hold, but as CTV's Alexandra Hollick explains, the community is inspired to fight for the space.
One man's church is another man's treasure, or at least that's what artists in Waterloo Region are hoping for.
So St. Columba can unlock all of that potential.
St. Columba Anglican Church in Waterloo has sat empty for several months, but the community wants to turn it into a creative hub.
It's an incredible opportunity for the artists, for the neighborhood, and for the community at large.
Alex Glass is the executive director of Arts Build Ontario, a Kitchener-based nonprofit organization that provides free or low-rent space for artists in the area.
We have 50 artists on our roster who are looking for space.
That search leading to Lincoln Road. Back in February, the city of Waterloo purchased the church for $2.9 million, with a plan to use the site for local arts programming before eventually turning it into affordable housing.
It's community supported, it's community initiated.
But on Monday, council deferred the decision to sign a 3-year lease with Arts Build, citing cost concerns.
Well, we chose in February to dip into reserve funds. The question now is, was that the right thing to do?
Those who live in the area say yes.
I think it would be an ideal spot for that, for the artists regionally and for the community as a whole.
Artists like Jen Pryor agree.
There's a huge need for it. I can't even tell you how many creatives I know that just don't have access to space.
With the help of Arts Build, Pryor moved into a downtown Kitchener studio a few months ago.
In that time, I've created probably 15 or so paintings, so it's been a really great experience for me.
But she says cities need to step up and support the arts.
I think the arts community here is really vibrant, and we just really need more spaces for us to come together and to create as well.
The fate of St. Columba is on the City of Waterloo's agenda for Monday. Glass says she's hopeful council comes to a decision and artists can start moving in here soon. Alexandra Hollick, CTV News, Waterloo.
How could a car dealership end up selling stolen vehicles? Coming up, W5's John Woodward digs deeper into the crime of revinning and how much it's been costing unsuspecting businesses and customers. Last night we showed you a W5 investigation into a man who had his car stolen, only to find out that the vehicle he'd purchased from a dealership was already stolen. Tonight, CTV's John Woodward digs deeper into how a dealership could end up selling stolen vehicles.
Running a car dealership was Chris Olszewski's childhood dream.
It was my purpose as a young boy. I always wanted to be a car dealer.
He achieved that dream, but his business faced major challenges when COVID-19 hit.
All dealers were put in survival mode.
Olszewski said he bought cars anywhere he could just to keep the lights on and his staff employed. But some of those cars were not what they seemed. One of his customers complained their insurance company wouldn't cover this Porsche Cayenne because it had a fake vehicle identification number, or VIN, a sign that it could be a stolen car. Olszewski at first didn't believe it. Then he started to dig.
I started doing more homework and seeing how deep this problem really went.
Olszewski opened his records to W5.
So these are the suspicious ones right here?
Yeah, these are the suspicious ones.
23 cars that were potentially stolen with suspect vehicle identification numbers, together worth more than $2.3 million. And Olszewski says police told him something even stranger about one customer.
Yeah, he's passed away. He's not even alive. We delivered a car to a guy that was not alive.
How is that possible?
Great question.
We tried to reach many of these buyers, many numbers not connected. One's listed contact information was noemail@noemail.com. Their employers had never heard of them.
That never happened. I will confirm like 100 million %.
Two salespeople, Fatty Zito and Harris Bachneck, were arrested by the Toronto police, who accused them of masterminding a fraud scheme to sell stolen cars.
The dealership's own funds were then used to buy the vehicles, which were fraudulently presented as legitimate to unsuspecting buyers.
One company that was listed as selling 6 to the dealership was WikiCar, listed as a salesperson, the same Fatty Zito. We checked out the listed address east of Toronto. There are car companies at that address, but people who worked for those companies told us WikiCar is long gone.
I moved here like 3 years ago. It was no more here.
We reached each of them over the phone. Bachneck and Zito's lawyer said the issues in the paperwork were just mistakes, and they never meant to sell any stolen cars. The salespeople's contention is that they were duped too. So we looked into that, obtaining from multiple sources the Carfax reports the pair are charged with altering, and took them to Carfax itself, which still has them on record. The company says they're identical, not altered, as the police allege. Here's Harris Bachneck.
Had I thought an inkling, just a second, just some weird idea that something was involving stolen vehicles, I'd have never got involved with it. I would have left it. That's not who I am. I was raised better than that.
All this raises a lot of questions about what will happen in this prosecution. Nothing has been proven in court.
How has this all affected you?
It's crippled me. I've lost everything I've ever worked for.
His company is now on the ropes. After the alleged fraud came to light, it couldn't pay back bank loans and taxes and is now in receivership.
You know, I couldn't have been more proud of that company. It was my first store.
Olszewski is apologizing to his staff, his customers, and his family for having this happen on his watch. One customer whose family member bought a stolen car says police told him there were even more people involved.
According to the investigations, there's connection with Service Ontario members.
Service Ontario, the agency that registers cars on behalf of the Ontario government.
W5's John Woodward with that report. Let's check in with Omar now in the national newsroom to find out what's coming up later tonight.
Tonight, the dramatic discovery of a missing child from Montreal.
She was located by a drone.
How police got tipped off, where the toddler turned up after frantic search efforts, and the ongoing investigation. That story and more later on CTV National News.
Plenty of active weather for your Wednesday. We'll take a look at how your morning is looking in Wake Up Weather coming up. We have a great lineup for your Wednesday evening. Stay with us. CTV News continues.
Bounce 99.5 has the music you just can't quit. Home of Bounce Mornings with Angie Hill and Sarge. KW's Bounce 99.5. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app.
We're going to check in with Colton Weens one more time. He's got a preview of what we are watching as we head toward 11:30 tonight. Colton.
Well, Tony, as the stormy weather continues to hit southern Ontario, we'll be watching for any major damage or flooding as a risk of a thunderstorm still looms overnight. The Grand River Conservation Authority doesn't expect any serious flooding on the river, but Environment Canada says heavy downpours can cause flash floods and reduced visibility, so it's reminding drivers to slow down, watch for taillights ahead, and be prepared to stop. Tony.
Colton, thank you very much. Yeah, very good reminder. As I found out on the expressway on my way into work today, a lot of sections where there has been a little bit of ponding, and especially when you get into the parking lots and side streets, if those drains aren't keeping up, we could still be dealing with some of the lingering effect of that, I guess, tonight.
Yeah, and even during the 5, Colton noted how when he tried to run out to get a coffee, he came across a few puddles that he wasn't expecting to see.
Puddle jumping.
Puddle jumping. But yes, as you noted, again, overnight, there is that risk, that potential chance for another thunderstorm. So it might wake you up in the middle of the night. But as we look at our wake-up weather, hopefully by that 6 a.m. mark, we're not in that thunderstorm territory, but we could potentially see still some active weather. So 19 degrees expected, cloudy with a chance of showers, similar conditions pretty much right through until about 10 o'clock in the morning. That temperature also still staying around that 19, doesn't seem to be going up or down at this point, but cloudy conditions expected. But like we said, some good news, and I like looking ahead a little bit. We might see a little bit of sun, not tomorrow or the next day, but maybe the next day.
That's okay. Let's get the rain out of our system before the weekend rolls around.
Better
right?
to happen now.
Exactly. So we can enjoy that summer solstice sunset.
Yes.
Okay, let's enjoy one more beautiful sight before we say goodnight. Astronomers have created a dazzling map of a nearby galaxy after observing it for about 50 hours. The so-called Sculptor Galaxy is located about 11 million light years away from Earth. Yeah, this panoramic image created by scientists who pieced together more than 100 exposures, Alex, from the European Southern Observatory's big telescope.
This always just shocks me, just beyond. So researchers say the spiral galaxy is close enough to study its building blocks with incredible detail and big enough that it can still be seen as a whole system. It almost doesn't look real.
Gorgeous, and it just reminds you that there's so much out there besides us.
It's a little scary.
And unlike I used to think, it doesn't all look like it did in Doctor Who episodes.
No, definitely not.
That's our time. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tonight at 11:30. Have a good night.
Take care.